How's everybody doing today? All right, let's get this party started. Anthony, my man. Thanks, brother. Thanks, brother. What's going on, Anthony? What's going on, Connell? What's going on, Fred and Hood? Hey, Jay. How are you today, buddy? Happy Tuesday. Hello, Massimo. Okay, better. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. It's Big Chonis. Just gonna get right into it here. Got some interesting price action to talk about in Bitcoin and friends. And whenever we have a nice move in Bitcoin, I always like to get multiple charts going here. To try and get a sense of what coins maybe are leading the pack or giving some indicators, and also kind of a sense when we're comparing coins to see which ones are stronger than the others here. So I got 4-hour charts here on Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash. And listen, I want to start with just the Bollingers for a second here, and we can see on the 4-hour chart our move here, and we'll talk about this in a minute here, but our move here really was able to expand our Bollingers on the 4-hour that were pretty tight for quite a while here, and we were able basically to ride that up, breaking through and closing outside 1, 2, 3 candles in a row after this one here. And this last one here, we got a pretty stiff rejection here with the bearish engulfing, so we're coming down from that. We're slowing our ascent. And there's still other supports down here that we can definitely try and find support on. But before I get to those, I want to compare these to what we see in Litecoin here. You know, we can see that the Litecoin is finding support on the middle Bollinger because the 4 hours were not as tight as the Bitcoin 4 hours were. So this is an achievement like onto itself, but still, because we are finding support on our middle Bollinger, retesting our upper BB, kind of similar to what we did here, definitely remains a possibility. Nice volume bars too here, even though this one here is red. Definitely nice volume bars and something that we haven't seen in kind of a while here in Bitcoin's price action and really the alt market in general. Save a couple coins that are just doing really nice and kind of maximizing this Bitcoin ranging to kind of have this continuation in their price action here. Look at Ethereum, similar spacing to the 4 hours Bollingers than Litecoin kind of has here, but more bearish. I mean, hitting up that middle Bollinger, 1, 2, and a third candle here. Not able to close above it, where we are able to in Litecoin, and we did a full end-to-end in Bitcoin Cash here on the Coinbase exchange here. Now, all four broke their lower BB, and we see the extreme break on this wick here. And this candle was, listen, it's quite impressive. We haven't seen, I shouldn't say that. When we had this one here, several like a day prior, I was like, oh, because I was looking for that kind of a whipsaw where we were about to fall off a cliff, and nope, we just get pulled back in a nice V impulse here. But the volume on that move was very lackluster. This was quite a different move here, and the fact that we were able to break out of this tight range here that we had been in for a couple days here, and reestablish potentially an area that was resistance, which basically was this candle here, wick at 35.68. and now we're just right above it right now. For now, finding it as support. So this tight range was very tight. We're now slightly above it. And really mean slightly because we're still in the 3500s, but we're slightly above it with finding support, which was once resistance here. So let's bring in some artwork here. We'll start with a Bitcoin. And a couple things we're watching here. So initially here, I'm just watching the retrace from our most recent swing low to our most recent swing high here. Let's get very accurate there. Let's get right on the money there. And what we're watching here, interesting. So what we're watching here uh, is this support of the 23.6 fib range currently holding, and this is kind of still in a very bullish stance right now in the price action of Bitcoin. We can still go a lot lower and still retest these areas here, 38.2, 50, 55, 61, and 55, which would put us back down to our lower Bollinger Band support. But I think we have enough upward momentum for starters to allow this to kind of test the waters of higher resistance levels here. We've been able to spread out our very tight Bollingers here and allow this increased volume. And listen, this is notable volume on the 1 hour here. If we go, back several days here, we've had these quick spikes. Finally, a nice cluster of green here that bought a lot of this up. But remember, the 4-hour Bollinger definitely tells a story. Sorry, the 1 hour Bollinger there on this tight time frame here. Now let's go to a higher time frame as the 4-hour. And we see here Bitcoin there. I may have said that this was on the 1 hour, but this is now the 4-hour. And just like the other ones, Litecoin, bullishly holding for now that middle Bollinger. Remember, ETH on the 4-hour is not able to get above it. Right now, Bitcoin finding the middle Bollinger as support on the 4-hour with an hour, 24 minutes to go left in the 4-hour. This is a very important candle here because our last 4-hour candle was a clear, very clean shooting star here, high volume wick here, where once we broke 3,600, a lot of that profit from this bounce here was taken off the table here, but that's fine. We can now reestablish a higher base of support and move forward. Note our upper Bollinger now on our 4-hour is tightening again. That's all the way up to about $3,700 here. So this for now is a nice orderly rise with a very healthy little pullback here, still above a bullish stance of the 236 here. Now, this move here definitely was able to bring up a lot of indicators, but not really crazy skyrocket. We're still right at 50 on the 4-hour RSI, the 6-hour, rejection right at 50 there. The 12-hour looks a little better, but still at 44. And the all-important daily here also at 44 here. So listen, we're angled in a better direction here. We definitely want to see that volume fall through. But for now, even on the 4-hour to still be under 50, we definitely have a lot more wanting here if the bulls want to really take a stand and begin to put in these higher lows of support here. Who else has joined us in the chat room? What's up, James? What's up, Mike? Hello, Funky Bad Chad. SS. How's it going, guys? Yeah, just a quick update here. Tuesday, January 22nd. You guys can follow me on Twitter. I am at Big Chonis. I'm also doing my online mentoring. Please feel free to reach out to me, Twitter DM or email for that. Just a one-on-one with you and me via Skype, where we can discuss trading, talk about everything you want to talk about, try and enhance your game. I put this tweet out earlier in the day here, and I was, when we have any kind of move, bullish or bearish, we start on lower time frames and we work our way up. So on the 1 hour, this was many hours ago, so 7 hours ago. We're watching the 1 hour bull cross here. Okay, that looked nice there. We were watching resistances on the 4-hour EMA 26. Couldn't even get above the EMA 12 on the 6-hour. And then our 12-hour here, we got wicked out right at our EMA 12. This was 7 hours ago. So let's see kind of where we are from there. I'm kind of get rid of my BBs there. Oops. And I'm kind of bringing up my 12 and 26. 12, 26. Get my Bollingers here. And, oh, nice. So, all right. So let's go back to it. So the 1 hour, here's our Bull cross, which is still in progress, so we're still good looking bullish here on the hourly. Okay, remember these are our EMAs, and if you're trading using your EMAs, I like to use the 12 and 26. You basically would be watching a couple things here: the spacing of our EMAs to see how wide they got here, if they're in the extreme one way or the other. Okay, we're seeing our EMA 12 constantly being hit as support resistant. 26 now can't get over 26, wicked out, wicked out, wicked out. Finally, we have a reversion to the mean where we put our first closing candle above both our EMA 12 and 26 on the 1 hour chart. And that allowed for that bullish continuation there. So a great buy signal there. There was our cross a couple candles later. There's a continuation. So where are we finding support? Finding support right at our EMA 12 on the 1 hour chart, just as we was resistance. Now it's support. So that's good. We're basically able to find our first area of support where we would expect support on this lower time frame to hold. Looking at our 4 hour, we're right on our 26 here. Remember, our 4 hour before was rejected by our 26. We are right above it right now, with again about an hour 20 left to go in the candle here. Let's go to our 6 hour. 6 hour finding EMA 12 support. Now this is interesting. Okay, so we find EMA 12, find EMA 26 resistance when we first hit it on this 6 hour chart. We back test and we find EMA 12 support. Now you see how wide we are here in our candle, in our EMAs here. And just as we had this run up to a bull cross that fell through rather fast, we're now angling to do another run to that. And this can still be the early stages of that, as long as the 6 hour EMA 12 continues to hold. Drink here. 12 hour. Now this was our 12 hour. Now remember, we were hitting this. Whoops, whoops, whoops. There we go. We were hitting this as resistance here, and now we're actually hitting it. Well, did it again. As as there we go. So we're hitting it EMA 12 as resistance there. Now we're hitting EMA 26. We broke through our EMA 12. And again, I would like to target our EMA 26 at least on our 12-hour chart. That would put us right at about 36.36. And we see how the 12 acted as support and was back tested as support when we had this pullback, and then the final break below it was that fall through. So why I bring this up is because if we can get back over this again, I don't think we're going to do that. I actually think we're going to use it and we're going to hold it. Okay, because it's one of those things where when we fail the first time, but then we retest it again, I think that's the second time there is kind of one of those things where we can hold it, at least hold our 12 on a back test where that was lost pretty significantly here on this move. And lastly here, our daily chart, because overall, even with this very interesting candle here, we're still below our EMA 12, okay, to get any sense of any kind of bullish momentum here. Because look at, we had our very strong resistance. We got through it, closed above it, got wicked out on a too much of a push here on our 26, came way back down, and now you see the ground we're trying to make up. Now, another buy signal that was basically you could derive from the EMAs was just, again, the extent of how low we were off our 12 and 26. This candle, when we were down here, 34.24 here, where we found support, the extent to where we were so below an already widening EMA spectrum. And that's the key. It's not just how below you are, it's below with the widening already taking place. We can start to see a little bit of a try and a pullback there. Now, this will always be some sort of an out, and this is an outlier. This is a 50% fall in Bitcoin in 2 weeks, just about here. Was this 2 weeks? 12. So I guess it was 4 weeks. This was a month-long 50% pullback. But every time we got a little too far from our EMA 12, even in this tremendous bearish move, we try to come back and retest it really far. Try to come back and retest it really far. Try and come back and retest it. Resisted it until we were able to break it. So this is the first achievable goal for the bulls that they need to begin to tackle. Anything below the EMA 12 on the daily still sets Bitcoin in a quite bearish standstill. 3628, and then 30. So really 3700. But there's the thing there. If we're able to get above 3700 here, I think we're probably going to get back to 4K. If we're getting back above here one more time, I think there's a very good possibility that ranging there, we can get back into that 4K zone rather easily, because the volume would be behind it. Okay, because it's super strong resistance still, in this 3700 area. It was super strong support here, and now we've been just back testing it. Boom, resistance, boom, resistance, boom, resistance. Okay, so we can crawl back higher. But again, on the bullish side, nothing really matters until a clean break of, this 3750 area. And on the bearish side here, listen, what did this candle touch here? This was so nasty, because this broke a stop loss if you were at your last swing low of 34.84. Okay, your double bottom here we had here and here. Okay, let's say you were playing the swing low of this candle here back on December 18th. Okay, 34.38 with your stop loss. You got stopped out on that. And let's say you were playing even the November 25th low right here of 34.59. Okay, you got stopped out of that. So this wick here got a lot of longs out of their positions if they were basing these stops on these previous areas of support. So we put in lower low with a very clean bounce here. And with an hour and 15 left in this daily candle, the bulls really want to make this look as good as possible. This was a great looking hammer a couple hours ago, but we only need like 30. We only need like $33 to make this a better looking hammer. So listen, if the bulls can't step up in the next hour and pump this thing $30 to make this thing look like a really good looking hammer, well, then we can have continuation tomorrow. I think we still can have continuation tomorrow if we close something a little lower. I'd like to close above the high of yesterday. High of yesterday, 35.68.95. We put in a higher low from yesterday's upper wick. That's even a better stance. And notice our volume here, a lot of this was sell volume before it was buy volume, but still higher volume profile than anything we've seen since the 15th, so in over a week. Okay, so there's buildable progress here, but a lot of our indicators, our RSI is still weak. Our stochastics on our daily has really yet to register this move, other than a slight pullback of here. And where are we here? On the on balance volume oscillator here, OBV oscillator. Okay, like look at that little itty bitty mountain there. So yeah, Adam Holland, 2 minutes of volume, and everyone's bullish. Like it was an interesting candle, but when we look at from a higher time frame, like our daily, did this move here of 34? I mean, $150 move, and did it show up in the radar on the high range radar? Our OBV, our CMF is still putting in a lower profile here. Okay, we wanted to see that kind of spike up there. We're not really seeing that now. OBV did spike up. Okay, we actually had just a little bit of an uptick here in our OBV, but still lower high. Okay, let's put in a higher high, and then we can talk. Okay, but right now we're just doing another one of these zigzag things here, still ranging. Like if you just went to bed and woke up and just looked at the actual price and didn't really realize what just happened, you wouldn't even known, except for the fact that we're still in this range here that we've been in since January 10th for 12 days here. So this is our 12th day of this range here. Hey, 84 people. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad. Now, guys, check this out. So this is our longs and our shorts here. Okay, now this move, okay, bullish-ish move in Bitcoin. I'm doing air quotes on that. Our longs came back, and our shorts came back. So we had both deleveraging, and yet the spread is still the same, pretty much. Longs have been taking a little more off the table than the shorts have recently, but not that much. What's up, Crypto Supply Company? Much appreciated, brother. So really, there's not a big change in terms of the deviation in our longs and our shorts yet. Longs, I think, are still maybe a little over target, over hyped here, but still going from 32,000 Bitcoin long to 29,000. That's a start. That's a start, and we're going to take a look at our shorts here and see how close we are to that line of volatility. So this is still a very good looking daily candle, as I said, with about an hour left to go. Um, I'm not going to look at the weekly. It's too early. The monthly, we'll get that later on in other broadcasts. What did I want to? Oh, let's do some cloud. Let's do some cloud. I haven't used the cloud in a while here. Uh, Ooh. Hmm. So we have, I see, interesting. This is kind of a bearish TK cross here. See how our Kaijin fell in down and into that on the 12. We're still, see, this was our precursor to this on our other bearish TK cross. Tenkan-sen resistance on the 12. Tenkan-sen resistance on the 6. And then here was our bear Kumo twist. Tenkan-sen support on the 4-hour, but Kaijin resistance. See how they were dead stick there. At least they finally split up, but that's not the best looking split up there. So the cloud is still, I mean, we're right there, mixed signals. We have a little support on the 4-hour. We have support on the 1-hour, but we see where our resistance is right there. Just right. Thanks for joining the broadcast. 1-hour cloud resistance remains very hefty there. Okay, and our 4-hour is just looking okay as long as we can hold that Tenkan-sen. Everything else in the higher time frames is still quite bearish. Let's do a TD count, see if anything is notable and stands out. Let's go to our hourly here. See, listen, interesting here. So we closed on this was a, oh wow, so this was a perfected 9 intra candle here on the hourly. See how he went to the 8 here, and then this was intra candle, a gorgeous perfected 9, which is a sell signal. Okay, basically it's a gorgeous run here. We had our nice 9 count on our low time frame, and this was a short term for now seg signal. We do have a red 2 below red, well, not below yet. We still have a red 2 on a red 1 with 8 minutes to go, but this could flip 1, 2, 3, 4. We still got to get above 35.89 for the, oh, 1, 2, wait, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, on this candle, we got to get above 35.89 in the next 8 minutes. Probably not going to happen, but the next candle is going to start as a red 3. Oh, wait, no, it's not. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, so this can be a red 2, and then the next candle, if we close here, will actually be a green 1. Oh, that's interesting. So we could do a price flip here in 8 minutes. We can actually turn the next candle into a green 1 instead of a red 3, at least starting onto a red 3, as long as we close above right here. 4-hour, we're in mid count here. 6-hour, still early in the count, nothing of note. 12-hour, we have a green 1. And we did stop the bleeding here. We did a 5 count here on the 12-hour. And our daily is probably very early as well. Still in a red 3. So what will take to turn this into a green 1? 1, 2, 3, 4. We get a, interesting. So we were a green 1 intraday here when we were at our high. But to turn this today, we'd have to get right above 36.07. So still a chance for that. Another hour to go. But right now, this is probably going to be a red 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we got to close above 36.83 to make this not a red 4. And do a change there. So as I said, the whole theme is that lower time frames are looking a lot more bullish than higher time frames, but just by a little bit. We're holding, as I started the show here, with this very nice bullish, 23.6 above it, support. Okay, we can still go down lower, but I want to keep what was once resistance, now support. I want to keep, especially this wick here that on the 4. Let me hide my TD again. Okay, this was resistance here right at 35.68. Okay, I want to keep that support. I want to turn that into support. So right where we are here, give or take, we got a couple more bucks maybe to fall. It'd be important to hold this as support. Other than that, I go down to my next area, just a little bit lower, 35.57. Let's try to put in these areas which were once resistance. Now let's equate them as supports. We can start on lower time frames, and the bulls can try and bring that higher here. The volume cluster here on the hourly isn't bad, but we definitely need to see that moving forward there. Let's take a look at our longs and our shorts here. I added a couple here because I'm looking to see if there's any kind of interesting divergences in what's being shorted heavily, what's being longed heavily, like here, just for the heck of it here. Bitcoin Satoshi's vision is being shorted like crazy. So somebody pulled a 33% short position, or increased their shorts by 33% on Bitcoin SV here, but Bitcoin, I guess it's Bitcoin Cash SV. I don't even know how to say it anymore. Um, and the longs are also rising as well. Wow, look at that long chart. I mean, look at that long chart. I don't think I've ever seen a chart like that. That's interesting there. Heck does the RSI look like? Yikes. Wow, so SV longs are just loving it, huh? A little resistance up here, but look at that. Nasty strong and just riding the upper BB. So, all right, I want to go to the Bitcoin though. So, there we go. So, Bitcoin longs. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, longs were able to deleverage from 32,000 all the way down to 28,000 here. They're slowly beginning to reestablish a position and kind of a decent past 6 hours here, about an hour to go. Real strong here. This was bought up and then they increased that. The daily's probably, yeah, a nice lower wick here. So longs were starting to take a lot off the table, and that's where a lot of those stop losses were hit, and a lot of these longs were forced out of their positions. Because a lot of these, people probably thought they were decently conservative stop losses, and then they just got taken out by a couple bucks here, as we broke those November 25th lows and what have you. So a lot of these longs now are getting a little more comfortable with increasing their longs, at least over the last 8 hours here, or 7 hours. Now shorts, okay, they were rising into that bearish move we had earlier in the day of Bitcoin, and they've come back a little bit here. I'm still been watching this zone here, and of course our line of volatility. We talked about this many shows about how when the shorts touch here, 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 and we're so close here that we can put in some sort of a volatile move higher in our short positions. And it's funny, the more that we kind of watch this little cluster here, we'll kind of see how this plays out. Kind of a interesting little thing going on here, huh? Maybe. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'll leave that for a future show and see how this kind of plays out here. But interesting formation we're looking at here on our shorts. Remember, what's the catalyst that's going to bring these higher? Is it going to be Bitcoin rising in price and shorts loading into the bullish price action of Bitcoin because they feel it's short-lived? Or is it going to be another bear break of Bitcoin that's going to bring the shorts down? It's weird. The shorts have not been adding at all to a lot of the bearishness in a lot of the bearish moves in Bitcoin. So until that trend breaks, until shorts begin to load in any form of price action in Bitcoin, higher or lower, there's not going to be any kind of out of alignment in the shorts being a little too overextended or underextended. Right now, the longs have a little bit of an overextension, but not that bad because they've been able to come back a little bit from being too overextended in these other moves here. Now, just really kind of chilled out the chart enough to potentially continue this year. So the overall is that longs have potentially a little more room to go higher, and the shorts look like they're still consolidating in that zone there, ready to make some sort of a pounce. Um, Couple so listen, Bitcoin, we see this all the time, a little bullish pop, a couple percent. Bitcoin was up what 1% in the past in this day, but coins like ZIL 10%, EOS 5%, Bitcoin Cash, ABC 5%, ZRX almost 5%, Litecoin 2.5%, TRX still holding a strong 2%, and then ETH kind of the 2%, kind of the dud of a lot of the alt moves. I know. I got to update this alt list too. I know I'm missing a ton, but a bunch of other alts, had nice little pops here and there, some higher ones, and a lot of other ones took some off the table. A lot of these were high runners as well. I know Pay had a nice runner the past couple days there. So let's go back to Bitcoin here, and here we go. Let's go back here, and listen. Oh, that was Bitcoin Cash. Huh. Not to be confused with the real thing, right? There we go. There we go. Okay, good. And can we bring back our quad? Oh, there we go. View. So yeah, so I started the show with basically this comparison here. We were watching these are 4 hour charts, and we're seeing with Bitcoin's move, which of the alts showed a better stance of a bullish sense to move higher, and or a much more stable base of support. Litecoin continues to be a stronger one of those, finding that middle Bollinger support. Bitcoin Cash similarly hitting against the upper Bollinger there, but in a higher percentage move. And ETH still shows that weakness here, still finding that middle BB resistance with another hour to go in this candle. So very important candle here. We we close this in an hour. We close it daily in an hour. Every once in a while, we definitely seem to see some fireworks come into play as we close out a new day and start a new one here. The fact that this hadn't sold off that much, we haven't, we've had a healthy pullback more or less across the board. Bitcoin finding that 236, ETH still finding, even though that was a weaker move in ETH, still finding that 236 support. Litecoin, right on that 236 support, like to the penny. Okay, and Bitcoin Cash actually had a little more of a stronger pullback because it had a more of a higher bounce, but still was able to hover above the 328, and now currently finding 236 support. So across the board here, all these are still healthy pullbacks right now. Some look a lot stronger than others as well. Let's go back to the Bitcoin main here. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about this. Let me go to my AMA. No, that's not that. Okay, good there. Let's go to our daily. That should go to 12 hour. All right, so there's so many patterns that we're watching here, but whenever we're able to get three, you want at least two. Well, you need at least two touches to form a line of support and or resistance. But when you get basically three, it makes you a little more comfortable in the shape. The near-term shape, the near-term pattern that we're putting in here. So because we have a resistance line here, a resistance line here, and not quite touched it on the third tap here, but on the bottom we have a support line here, and almost touch here, and now we have a new wick here. I'm pretty comfortable in this descending. I mean, it's a triangle wedge here, is what it is. It's almost a very clean isosceles, and yet we have it's not a flat bottom, so it's not like your ascending triangle or descending where we have a very static bottom and either higher low or a lower low. We have basically lower highs and lower lows. Okay, so that's where the kind of wedge falls into that. And listen, I would love to hit our upper line here at 36, 40 ish, and see how the price action can react to that. We've pretty much established now a new range after being in this range. We're in a lower range where 34, 30 is now our support, and 36.18, which literally corresponds with our other, uh, where are we here? With our other very tight triangle here. So it's interesting where our apex of our previous triangle is exactly where our resistance line is right here. Okay, and let me make that a different color. Here we go. So breaking through 36. What's our high today? 3611 can bring us a lot higher pretty quickly, I think, because there's a lot of free air between these two candles here, up to about 3700, and really this double top area here of this wick and resistance there, and then after that, there's more free air, I think, to get back to 4K. So the volume really needs to tell the story here. We have our first uptick. Okay, look at this is our uptick here, early part of January, the past week and a half, down, 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 down. We have our first uptick in our volume, 1, 2, 3, 4 days of increasing daily volume. That is something of note. Okay, it's a 4-day pattern. That's something of note. Okay, but we know where our long-term resistances are. They're not much higher from where we are here, but breaking above them, and more importantly, closing above them, it's going to be extremely important for any kind of a bullish continuation. Until then, listen, the bears still have control. This is still a bearish market here. This is still a very nasty fall with a correction. And are we looking for that one more push higher, that one more retest of that 4K? We're still putting in these lower lows all around. And so even though, I want to be as bullish as the next person, um, we can't ignore the fact that these lower lows in the price action are still consistent until proven otherwise. So I could put one here, but it's still too early. I think we basically know that anything below 37.64 is still just a lower low. But you start breaking above and closing above 37.60 area here, and I think the 4K area is definitely an achievable target. And keep watching that volume profile, because so far we're on a 4-day uptrend and it's looking pretty good. Now, our downside targets still remain, and this is what the overall thesis of what I talked about yesterday and what I talked about on the Bitcoin Live video I just put out, about how the 786 is definitely there we go. An area here that can be tested around 3368. Interestingly enough, right at our super nut apex here of our kind of triangle wedge here. So a rejection here can bring us down one more time to retest this area before any kind of a bullish continuation. And this continues to fall in line with this declining wedge here, which can be a bullish pattern. I mean, absolutely. These kind of come down, we find support, and then we kind of are able to explode out of them. Why does it keep over there? Oh, that's what I wanted. Something like this, you know, is something that we want to kind of see, and it depends where we can exit this. If it's something closer to here, or if we have to come down for one more touch, hit that 786, and then do any kind of a advanced lift off here. Otherwise, the lower lows pattern is still consistent with this kind of larger descending triangle with a overall double bottom retest of the 3130 area, down here at some point. And these are scenarios that we just have to continue to keep on the table here. Any kind of lower lows continue to hit, this double bottom retest here. And this could be a longer term ranging pattern that could take us into the spring, into February and March. Okay, so breaking through this okay, basically invalidates our larger descending triangle here. And all this is saying is that I expect 3130 to be retested once again at some point along the way, just as we had done back when we were still above 6K and we were putting in um, bullish bounces at 6K with lower lows, with lower highs until it broke. This can be a very similar pattern still until proven otherwise. You want to prove otherwise, let's put in some higher lows. Let's break these key areas. Okay, let's retest 4K. Let's get above, and then we can definitely start talking here. But our volume profile, okay, needs to be consistent with that move. And right now, only on lower time frames is where we're seeing that. So where we start the day in an hour and any kind of that fall through we need to see. But for now, we're holding a decent support area, and let's continue to hold what was once resistance, make that support. All right, guys, kind of sign off, and we will. There we go. Hope I didn't lag a little bit there. Uh, there we go. Okay, so listen, thank you guys so much for joining me today. This is Big Chonis. If anything crazy happens, I'll probably come back to you guys with anything of interest. But for now, the Bulls have to prove themselves with some volume. This is a nice bounce. This is definitely the kind of thing we're looking for in terms of a reversal of the mean. The mean seems to be basically lower lows, and every bullish pop induces a sell-off. Bullish pop, sell-off. Bullish pop, sell-off. Okay, bullish pop. Can we buck this trend? Okay, with volume. We know where our near-term resistances are. 3650 up to 3760. And then after that, we're talking clear air potentially up to the 4K range. Otherwise, lower highs and lower lows are still in play. With that, it's Big Chonis. Thank you so much, Anthony Hardy. Thank you so much, Funky Bad Chad. Two big tippers of the day. Much appreciated, my friends. Until next time, guys, Big Chonis. Talk to you soon. Peace.